Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The Texas Longhorns adding to their class in 2024, landing commitment from four-star wide receiver Aeryn Hampton. Now, I'll tell you what, anytime you go toe-to-toe with Alabama for a recruit and win that recruiting battle, you got to feel good about what you're getting. And you check out Aeryn Hampton and what he's going to bring to this offense. Extremely explosive. But to sum it up, just get the football into his hands in space. And I think you're going to like the results. And I think that's why he was drawn to Coach Sark and the Longhorns, because that offense, it specializes in getting their athletes in space and letting them be playmakers. Now, before we get into it, just want to say thank you to the Texas fans for the last couple of weeks. They've been one of the hotter teams on the trail. And I remember when we were talking about Texas when they were outside the top 60 nationally in their recruiting rankings, and we kind of said, just stay patient, wait till late June, early July, and I think it's going to start picking up for Texas. And you're certainly starting to see that. So for you guys who've been rocking with the boys, appreciate you guys seeing a lot of hook'ems in the chat. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. If you do enjoy the updates, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's get into Aeryn Hampton. And I'm going to sound like a jerk for a second. He's not the biggest. He's not the fastest. And I say he's not the fastest. I go 11,500 meter. That's no such. He's not slow. And you'll see on the film, I think he's a lot faster than those track times say. But what I would say about Aeryn Hampton is he's just a playmaker with the football in his hands. His ability to change directions, stop, start, create separation in his route tree, be an absolute animal with the football in his hands, that's what makes him special. I mean, he's a good football player. And you see a lot of times in this high school recruiting world, they like the guys with the crazy track time numbers or the crazy size, height, speed, what height or length or whatever it is. Aeryn Hampton is just a good football player. And it doesn't take you long to watch the film and just understand what he's going to bring to the offense. Diving into the film, again, this is a really, really fun film to watch. We're not going to watch it all, but if Texas fans, I'd encourage you to watch this whole film because he is a guy that just makes play after play, and he makes it look easy, quite frankly. Firing it up, the first thing you're going to see is that change of direction that I'm talking about. Create separation. When he gets the football, just snatches a bunch of ankles. The ability to change direction, stop, start, really good contact balance, which you'll see a little bit later. He's got a thick lower half, 5'10", thick legs, really good contact balance, absorbs contact, I should say, not heat. But when he gets to, very smooth athlete, again, going right through arm tackles, really, really strong player. And then when he has the ball in his hands, he's just very fluid. It all seems so easy for him. And I think you're getting one that might be a little underrated. And look at the route tree. Again, that's what you see at the next level. Who are the guys that are being successful? The guys who can create separation in their route tree. That's what you want to see. Again, with the football in his hands, he's absolute dynamite. He's just a big play waiting to happen in a world where the high school recruiting world kind of tends to favor the guys with the verified track times, the guys with the verified size. Aeryn Hampton is a dude that just is a really, really good football player. I see him probably a little bit more in the slot because he absorbs contact really well, can work that middle of the field. But again, just a guy that if you're Coach Sark, get the football into his hands, and I think you're going to like what you see. And he tracks the ball really well too, I might as well add. That's a really good concentration catch. Now, let's get into this Texas class in 2024, and this kind of goes to what we were saying. We talked about 3 weeks ago. This team was outside the top 50 in their national recruiting ranking. Now with just 13 commitments, they're inside the top 25. We'll talk about it because they ain't done yet. We're going to talk about who they're trending for. But let's recap specifically on the offensive side of the ball what we have. Jarrett Gibson, the number 2 running back in the country, coming from IMG. You get a little IMG pipeline with Jordan Johnson-Rebel and Jarrett Gibson. You take a look at that running back room, the future of it. You have C.J. Baxter in the 2023 class, Jarrett Gibson in the 2024 class. And then you also add Christian Clark from Arizona, who I really like, a guy that probably a little bit more of a spacey guy. And Coach Sark asks his running backs to work out of the backfield and catch the football a lot. Christian Clark was a guy that put up almost 400 receiving yards in his junior year. Very comfortable working out of the backfield. And then the wide receivers, Freddie DuBose, a guy that missed his whole junior year to an ACL injury. But you talk about juice, you talk about speed vertically. Freddie DuBose completely has that. And then Parker Livingston, a little bit more of a bigger body guy that can work contested catches. Also is a pretty decorated track athlete as well. You're seeing a lot of speed on this Texas offense. And then the offensive line, right? Daniel Cruz was a guy that we really liked. And Nate Kibble, kind of one of those sleeper gem kind of guys. Take a look at this offensive side of the ball. you're feeling pretty good about where Texas is. And then you take a look at what it could be when we're talking about December and what this could look like. And I want to start, and we'll get to the defense, but I want to start with Ryan Wingo, the 5-star wide receiver who does seem to be trending to Texas. And we talk about this a lot. When you have that number one quarterback in the 2023 class in Arch Manning, you have Coach Sark calling the plays. These wide receivers want to go play for that offense because they check both the boxes. One, am I going to be used as a weapon? You turn on the tape, you see how Coach Sark has used Xavier Worthy the last 2 years. You know that's going to happen. Am I going to have a good quarterback throwing me the football? You got Malik or Arch Manning. You feel pretty good about who's going to be getting you the football. So a guy like Ryan Wingo would round out a very, very good offensive unit for Texas. And then you get into the defense where it's like, okay, they've been a little slow, I guess, in terms of recruiting the defense side of the ball. Trending for Colin Simmons, one of the best edge rusher, according to 24/7 Sports in this class. He's from Duncanville. Trending for Kobe Black, the number 3 cornerback in the 2024 class. Take a look at probably the 2 most important positions on defense. Trending for some of the top targets at those positions. And then you work down the list. Selman Bridges, I know Texas is in that. Corian Gibson looks like he might be trending towards Clemson. But again, if you land Kobe Black and Selman Bridges, you already have Wilson in that 2024 class. You're feeling pretty good about the secondary. And you just keep going down the list. Wardell Mack, he's also a guy trending to Texas. So you're looking at that defensive line with potentially Colin Simmons and maybe even Jaden Jackson joining that group. You feel pretty good about that. That secondary room with a guy like Wardell Mack, potentially Kobe Black. You already have Wilson in there. You feel good about that. And this is going down the list. I know they're in it for a guy like TJ Lindsey. I know Jaden Jackson they're certainly in it for. At a certain point, it just gets to how many axes you got in the fire. And you're in the race for a ton of top prospects. And I think the most fun part that we always kind of close it out for Texas is if this Texas team can play as good as I expect them to play in 2023 in terms of you look at that team, and we dug into their team. We did a little summer recap. If you guys want to go check that out, I'd invite you to do so. This is a team that's a top 4 team in the country on paper. And if it all comes together, and you're looking at a Texas team that can make the college football playoffs, be one of the most exciting teams in the country. So come December, when it's vital to have these guys in your class and signing on that dotted line, it don't really matter if they're verbally committed to you now or not. It matters in December. And when if Texas can win a Big 12 championship, they're moving to the SEC, making college football playoffs with how good this team can be, I could see this class certainly being in a top 5, potentially even top 3 class if they can land some of those 5-star commitments, maybe flip some guys as well. It's going to be a good class for Texas. We've said it all along. Do not panic. This is a Texas team that's clearly going in the right direction. They're going to be good on the field in 2023. I think they're going to have a phenomenal July, and it's going to be a fun team to talk not only what they're doing on the field, but also what they're doing on the recruiting trail. Getting another good one in Aeryn Hampton, who, again, he's, I think, just an underrated kid because he's not the biggest and he's not the fastest, but he's just good at the sport. He gets open. He's really good with the ball in his hands. I think Texas got a very intriguing offensive weapon for that offense in the 2024 class. Again, appreciate you guys checking the boys out. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Throw the hook'ems down in the comment section. Appreciate y'all. We'll talk to you.